Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be on hope. All of us need hope, in one form or another in our life. Most people, don't really know what hope is. I'm just going to read you a little definition here of what hope is. It says, what is hope? Hope is the quiet strength that whispers to you, keep going, don't quit, keep going forward. When everything in you wants to stop and quit, hope is that little voice that tells you not to and to keep going. And that's a little voice you should listen to, that little voice. It keeps telling you this, to keep going. It's not just wishful thinking, it's not just optimism. It's a confident expectation grounded in something greater than yourself. Now, whether you're a believer or not a believer, everybody has hope. Everybody needs hope. A lot of people right now feel hopeless. They don't have any. Always me. They always feel, that kind of thing. But having hope, like I said, if you're a believer, you use biblical, and if you're not a believer, you can use like Stoicism. I use both. I use biblical and I use Stoic. I combine them. So by combining those two, they actually enhance and complement each other, if you actually looked at both of them. But like I said, most people need hope, because most people feel hopeless. They feel stuck, they don't feel like they're moving forward, like they can't do anything, like where they are in this particular job that most people don't like. That's the majority, not everybody, but that's the majority of people don't like. They feel hopeless. That's a sense of hopelessness, and feeling that way you're not the only person who feels that way. You're not alone. Whether you're walking through an illness, grief, debt, failure, or just feel lost, in a fog every day, this is all those feelings of hopelessness. And you can overcome these feelings, to turn hopelessness into hope, in order to better yourself and to move yourself forward towards what you truly want to do. From a biblical, like I said, I use both. I use a biblical standpoint and I use a Stoic standpoint. From a biblical standpoint, hope was rooted in the promises of God, not the changing circumstances of this world. It is knowing that even in suffering, God is working in all things together for good. That's Romans 8:28. From a biblical standpoint. Then there's a Stoic perspective. Hope is discipline. Hope is the disciplined mindset that accepts the things we cannot control, while focusing on the strengths of characters we can cultivate and the things that we can control. Okay, so like I said, you don't have to be a believer to have hope. You use the Stoic philosophies for those who are not believers. If you're believers, you can use the biblical, or like I do, I use both, because they complement each other very well to give me a better sense of hopefulness, if I said that properly. So like I said, everybody feels hopeless. Everybody feels like they're always made and they can't do things right. But you got to turn that around. Your sufferings, your pain that you're going through, you can turn it around and turn it into hopefulness through biblical and Stoic principles. Hope is not a feeling. Hope is actually, it's a fight. It's waking up one more time than we're knocked down. See, you get knocked down 6 times, you get up 7 times. A lot of people probably heard that. You get knocked down, you get right back up. That's part of being hopeful. Is showing up when results haven't come. It's praying, for those who are believers, when you don't hear an answer. And you keep praying, because God's timing is not your timing. Okay, it's different. So you have to be patient and be hopeful, and you keep praying and keep listening. Just doing what's right, even when no one is watching. A lot of people, they do things because they worry too much about what other people think. Or someone watching me. It shouldn't matter. Who cares? If you're being hopeful about yourself and about your own journey, that's your journey, not nobody else's. So it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Hope is a long obedience in the same direction, fueled by faith and forged by discipline. Faith being biblical, discipline is both biblical and Stoic. So, if today you feel like giving up, don't. Like I said before, it's that little voice that tells you to keep going, be hopeful, keep moving forward, hold the line, stand firm, and remember that hope is truth. And remember this truth: you are not created to be crushed by life. You were created to overcome it. Especially for those who are believers. God didn't put you here to be down, hopeless, crushed, defeated. No. That's the enemy talking to you. That's nonsense. You have the hope that God puts in you to move forward, not to quit, to turn struggles into victories, and to move forward, and to keep that hopefulness so you can do what you want to do in life, to stay on whatever the journey is for you. Just keep walking. Hope was already within you. Feed it with truth, strengthen it with discipline, anchor it in God. For those who are believers, that's the last part. Or anchor it in the Stoicism portion of it if you're not a believer. This is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a believer or not believer. Everybody has hopeless times. Everybody wants to have hopeful times. And you can do it. Doesn't matter, male, female, young, old, it doesn't matter. Everybody has stuff in their life that's called life. Okay, but you can have it in a better way by being hopeful, not hopeless. Now, that's all you need to do. You need to just keep moving forward. Keep hope. Those who are believers, you keep the faith. Rely on the faith principles, the Stoic principles, and you just keep going forward. There's struggles. Like I said, take those struggles, you turn them around, and you turn those hopeless times into hopeful times. You do this by different types of readings you can do. Those who are believers, you use the Bible. Those who are not, you can use the Stoic principles. Read about them, listen to them. Like I said, in my case, I combine both of them because I found it makes it even stronger, and they complement each other very, very well. Like you read things, you watch things, you journal. Like I just wrote a couple of things using AI, ChatGPT. I had a thought, I had a question, I put it in, and it helped me to refine what I was doing. Use technology to your advantage. It's good or bad depending upon what humans want to do with it. I'm using it for a good purpose. Because eventually I'll turn these, in my case, I'll turn these into blog posts and put them on my blog that I'm chipping away at there, and other things I'm doing. But you do things that help you stay hopeful. Like I said, watch videos on YouTube. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. Type in Stoic philosophy or biblical philosophy. Biblical ways to stay hopeful. stoic ways to stay hopeful. You know, just different things. You can watch stuff, you can listen to stuff, you can write down things. You know, there's different ways of keeping yourself in a hopeful state, not in a hopeless state. Turn that hopelessness into hopefulness and move forward in your journey and what you want to do. I hope this video makes sense to people. Hope you watch the whole thing, and hopefully you got some little nuggets out of it that can help you and guide you into feeling better about yourself and keeping a hopeful mindset to move forward. Okay? And I will see you in the next video.